Being a travel writer isn't just about visiting exotic places. It's about immersing yourself in the culture, interacting with locals, and bringing the destination and its characters to life. From the busy streets of Tokyo to the beautiful beaches of Bali, every place has myriad stories waiting to be told. So grab your pen, pack your bags and your laptop, and let's embark on a journey of storytelling where you'll learn how to transport your readers to far-off lands and ignite their wanderlust. See you on the course. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Travel Writing for Beginners. My name's Katie, and I'll be your tutor. This course will give you an understanding about what makes a good travel story and hopefully help you to feel more confident in your writing. I've kept it deliberately short, so you don't feel too intimidated by a huge amount of lectures to get through. But I do encourage you to read as much good travel writing as you can while you're taking it, and of course, practice your writing as we go along. These lectures are designed as pointers to get you started on your journey. Don't forget to check out the resources section for the course downloads, ask lots of questions, and take notes. Whether you're looking to get published in print or online, or you just want to improve your writing, my aim is to inspire you to improve and gain confidence to both write and pitch editors. We'll look at some examples of successful travel writing together and discuss what makes the pieces work. I also encourage you to try the practical writing exercises that will challenge you to apply what you've learned along the way. Writing is a muscle, and it needs constant toning and practice. I'm really looking forward to having you with me on this journey and sharing my passion for both travel and writing. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. Travel writing is more than just exploring beautiful places and enjoying new cultures. It's about bringing those experiences to life for your readers. You have the unique opportunity to inspire, educate, inform, and entertain through your storytelling. And with this role comes a set of responsibilities. So the first is accuracy and integrity. Your readers rely on you for accurate information. This means you have to always double-check your facts, whether it's a location, cultural custom, or historical detail. Accuracy is key. Similarly, your integrity as a travel writer is very important. People need to be able to trust you. The second is cultural sensitivity. As a travel writer, you're a bridge between cultures. It's essential to approach each destination with respect and an open mind. Highlight the uniqueness of each culture and tell its stories, but be mindful of stereotypes and biases. The third is engagement. A great travel writer doesn't just describe a place, they bring it to life. When writing up your piece, use vivid descriptions, personal anecdotes, time, place, and sensory details to immerse your readers in your journey. We'll be delving more into this topic in the next lecture. And lastly, sustainability. It's important to be mindful of your impact as a traveller. Promote sustainable travel practices and support local communities as best you can, and encourage your readers to do the same. Whether you're crafting a blog post, a magazine article, or a travel guide, understanding your audience is key to success. The first step is to understand who your audience is. Are they seasoned travellers looking for the next adventure, or are they families seeking kid-friendly destinations? Are they budget travellers, luxury seekers, or perhaps digital nomads? Each of these groups will have different interests, expectations, and criteria. Much of this information will be self-evident in the publication or website you're writing for. However, sometimes a publication will cater to many different audiences. By identifying your audience's needs and preferences, you can craft content that speaks directly to them. For example, budget travellers will appreciate tips on saving money and finding affordable flights and accommodation, while luxury seekers may be more interested in high-end experiences, 5-star hotels, and exclusive destinations. Similarly, families will have different criteria from couples and solo travellers. thinking about what your audience is looking for in a trip or experience will help you craft a story that has a particular reader in mind. Writing about topics that you're personally passionate about and developing a travel writing niche offers both merits and downsides. Focusing on a niche allows you to become an expert in a particular area, build a personal brand, and go for targeted opportunities and collaborations with editors and PRs. Writing about your passions can infuse your work with authenticity and enthusiasm, making your stories more engaging and relatable, not least more enjoyable for you to research, experience, and write about. If wine is your specialism, it's going to be a bit of a slog to be writing about golf, for example. However, the downside to having a specialism is the potential limitation to opportunities and assignments, as well as your growth as a writer. Having the ability to write about anything and everything provides the flexibility to explore a wide range of topics and adapt to different editorial needs. It can broaden your skill set and increase your marketability. There really is no right or wrong way to approach this. If you find that you're able to specialise early on and do well with that, then that's fantastic. But don't feel bad if you have to or want to generalise. One is not better than the other. Before you put pen to paper, you'll want to do a deep dive into your subject. Read and learn as much as you can about the culture, history, people, and geography of the place you're writing about. The more you know, the richer your writing will be. This doesn't have to cost any money either. You can use the internet or your local library or archives to do your research. You can read blogs, join forums, speak to people from that place, follow social media accounts and read the news from the country you're writing about. You can do your research before you visit the destination or when you get home in order to write up your piece. You can never do too much research. In this lecture, I want to talk about angles. An angle is like a new way of looking at something. This could be your personal take on a place or something fresh or new or interesting to talk about. You and I could both go to London and have completely different experiences. We'd both have different angles. We'd both write very different stories about the city. If you're writing a blog or a journal, then your story might be personal and it might be chronological, reading more like a diary entry. This happened, and then that happened, etc., etc. But if you want to write seriously and maybe try and get published, you'll need to be pitching and writing stories with strong angles. This means finding something unique that hasn't been written about before and hanging your story on that. It's a more professional and sophisticated way of writing. Your story, therefore, will possibly not follow a chronological order. You can find your angle either before you visit a destination, or it might only appear when you get home and sit down to think about your trip. It's very likely you have many different angles to choose from, which is great from a selling stories point of view. So I'd like you to think about your angle for your next pieces of writing. What is your new or unique take on things? See you in the next lecture. As every good storyteller will testify, writing a good story takes time and effort. It's more than a case of rattling off events in the order that they happened. You'll want to cherry-pick key moments, then expand and possibly circle back from there. A well-organised story not only engages your audience, but it also enhances the impact of your message. So let's begin by discussing some key points to remember. Firstly, identify defining moments or impressions from your trip. Start by brainstorming any striking or memorable moments or impressions that you want to include in your story. Think about the places, people, and experiences that are most important and how they contributed to your experience of the place. Write down anything that really stood out. You'll want to hook your reader in with these moments. Define your message. What is the core message or insight that you want to convey to your readers? Whether it's about cultural discovery, personal growth, or simply the joy of travel, having a clear message will guide your narrative. 3. Organise your ideas. Arrange your key points in a logical sequence that supports your message. This will help you create a cohesive flow and ensure your story unfolds naturally. Now, let's focus on structuring your travel story. Just like any good story, a compelling article has three main components: a beginning, a middle, and an end. Creating a roadmap for your piece is essential for guiding your readers through with clarity and purpose, and for maintaining a good pace throughout your story. The beginning sets the stage for your story. Start by introducing your setting, establish the mood, and hook your readers in with a good, strong opening. Consider starting with a vivid description, an intriguing question, a moment in time, or a surprising fact that draws readers in. If you don't know what to write, you can save the introduction for last. Sometimes writing the article first, then coming back to the beginning, or the lead, as it's known in journalism, is the best way to craft a memorable intro. The middle is where the heart of your story unfolds. This is where you build tension and provide insights, revealing the challenges, discoveries, and emotions you encountered during your journey. Develop the plot by describing key events and experiences. Remember, a travel article doesn't have to be chronological. In fact, the best articles don't follow a chronological order at all, but are playful with their use of time. Perhaps you start your piece in the middle of your story, then work backwards to that point in time. Maybe you begin with a defining moment, then go on to explain exactly what happened. Be creative with your structure and use of time frames. This makes for a far more interesting story. The end brings your story to a satisfying conclusion. Wrap up your narrative by reflecting on the impact of your experiences and how they relate to your core message. Consider leaving your readers with a memorable takeaway or a call to action. But remember, try to avoid clichés and cheesy endings. By outlining a structure for your travel story, you'll find writing it up much easier, and the piece will flow better and keep your readers entertained until the end. In the next section, we'll explore more advanced techniques for enhancing your storytelling skills. See you in the next section. In this example, we'll look at Simon Calder's piece on Las Vegas, titled Las Vegas, It's a Gas, Gas, Gas. Notice how he's picked out a defining feature or moment to start his story with. In this case, it's the element neon. If you can start with something unusual or interesting, it will immediately pique your reader's interest. Okay, so let's read the intro now.
Neon. You need to know two things about this gas. The first is that it is, in elementary terms, a relative newcomer. Even though it is present in small quantities in the air we breathe, it was identified only a century ago by a French scientist named Georges Claude. The second is that, being inert, neon is intrinsically dull. Oh, unless you pass an electric charge through it, as Monsieur Claude did, do that and it can light up the desert and dazzle the world.
In this lecture, we're going to look at how to paint a really vivid picture for your reader by using description and all the senses, as well as time and place. When you're setting the scene in your travel writing, description is your first stop. A great descriptive passage isn't just a random list of what you can see in front of you. Instead, it uses striking and original details to paint a vivid picture of the scene for your readers. Your setting comes down to time and place. Time could be the time of day, the season, or even the weather. Place can refer to anything from a specific geographic location to a hotel, a mountaintop, or a busy city centre. To make your description really stand out, consider combining observation, detail, and imagination to create a sensory experience for your readers. Think sights, sounds, smells, and textures. This is where your writer's toolkit really comes in, and where you can really flex your creative muscles using nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and figurative language to bring your scene to life. Before you start describing anything, take a moment to really observe the world around you. Think of yourself like an artist getting ready to paint. You need to truly look and absorb what you can see and hear in order to describe it with the accuracy and intensity needed to capture it and keep your reader's interest. In this lecture, we're going to look at a passage of travel writing together and dig into the use of time, place, observation, and sensory detail. The passage is taken from writer James Draven's piece called Tigers Burning Bright, which was published in the October 2023 issue of Wanderlust magazine. The article is about a tiger conservation scheme in Madhya Pradesh in India. Okay, so let's read the passage. It began with a sambar deer sniffing the air. In unison, the surrounding members of its herd, each the colour of rusting iron, stopped grazing from the wind-rippled grasslands. Heads lifted, glistening nostrils flared, and all eyes scrutinised the tree line. A languorous grey langur monkey, drunk on fermented mawa fruit and dozing on a fallen branch, opened one eye. You'll often see langurs and sambar together. They have a symbiotic relationship because sambar can detect a predator's scent on the breeze from over a mile away. In return, the langurs are sharp-sighted when up in the treetops, and messy eaters too, sloppily dropping half-eaten fruit to the sambar below. Neither makes a conscious effort to help the other, but they are inextricably linked by an ecosystem. Then the alarm call sounded. An unseen jungle babbler bird, invisible above a canopy of leaves, emitted the first signal. Through the bush telegraph, the call was taken up by scores of other birds, until the hitherto silent forest became a riot of panic and white noise. The sambar deer scattered, and then the langurs, all suddenly sober, zipped improbably up the smooth trunks of teak trees, some with their babies clutched to their chests. So as you can hear in that passage, James has ignited many of the senses. He's used time. In this instance, time is used almost as a condensed moment, like a snapshot of a scene that takes in all the detail and builds suspense. He's used place, the wilds of the wind-rippled grasslands of Madhya Pradesh. And he's used sight, smell, sounds, texture, and touch. Sniffing the air paints a vivid picture of the sambar deer expecting something to happen. Describing the deer as the colour of rusting iron really helps the reader understand what James can see. And although we don't know what fermented mawa fruit smells like, we can probably guess. In the next passage, he refers again to half-eaten fruit and the predator's scent, telling us they're messy eaters, so we can imagine what they look like. Then we get the sounds in the next paragraph, the alarm call, the riot of panic and white noise, a nice visual of deers scattering and the sense of touch from the smooth trunks of teak trees and babies clutched to their chest. This extract of James's piece really helps draw the reader into the story and build suspense by painting a rich picture set in time and place and piquing all the senses. In the next lecture, we'll have a go at writing our own passage and including as much detail as possible to really set the scene for our readers. So, for this assignment, I'd like you to find a place to sit quietly and really absorb everything around you. What can you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch? Take as long as you need to soak it all up, then write a passage about it, being sure to include all the senses. As an alternative, you can remember a place in your mind instead if you like, and write about that, recalling as much detail as possible. When you're done, have a read through your passage and see if you can rework it to be as descriptive as it can be. Be sure to avoid clichés as much as possible. You can read it out loud to get a feel for the rhythm and syntax of your writing. You can also come back to it over the next few days as new impressions come to you. When writing travel stories, incorporating interesting characters and authentic dialogue can elevate your narrative and create a vivid and engaging experience for your readers. Characters provide a personal touch, allowing readers to connect on a human level and see the destination through the eyes of the people who inhabit it. To build compelling, well-rounded characters, try and focus on their unique traits, backgrounds, and perspectives, and use dialogue to reveal their personalities, opinions, and emotions. Authentic conversations can also add depth to your story, offering insights into the culture, language, and social dynamics of the place you're writing about. Just as photographs are made more interesting by having people in them, so are stories. By skillfully weaving characters and dialogue into your travel writing, you can really bring your story to life, making it more relatable and memorable for your audience. Here are some key points to consider. Character development. How well is the character developed? Do they have distinct traits and a unique voice? Can the reader picture them in their mind? Authenticity of dialogue. Is the dialogue believable and engaging? Does it reflect the character's background and culture? Cultural insight. Does the person offer meaningful insights into the destination and its people? In the next section, we're going to look at an example of a good piece of travel writing that uses character and dialogue to great effect. Then, we're going to have a go at writing our own pieces that incorporate character and dialogue in them. In this example, writer Kevin Gould visits Jamaica for Jamie magazine. You can get a feel for the place from the people he meets, and especially his tour guide Wilson. I actually edited this piece many years ago, and I remember it fondly. I hope you enjoy it too. As we read a passage from it, pay attention to his use of character and dialogue. I've included a copy of the whole article in the resources section if you'd like to read the entire piece, which I highly recommend you do. Okay, so let's begin.
Our driver's name is Delroy, but you can call me Everton, he offers, because the more names you've got, the more lovers you have. Delroy Everton has muscly arms that look like walnuts in condoms, and his two mobiles ring permanently off the hook. One's for the wife, the other for girlfriends, old and new. We're in Jamaica for a road trip around the island's best eateries. Jamaica has thousands of roadside food stalls where, for a few dollars, you can pull in and fill up on tasty local grub. Mobiles jangling, Delroy, or more fittingly, Delboy, pilots us to Ocho Rios, a former fishing village turned tourist beach town, and we tumble into the joint sports bar. Owner Jackie, who wears her heart on her lacy sleeve, sees how tired we are from the flight and immediately whisks out plates of curried goat and glasses of powerful carrot and ginger juice. "It's kicky," she warns. "You need a bit of spunk." Couples Resort has clean, airy rooms for us, and we wake to the thrum of Caribbean waves pounding the beach. Chef Carlton Davies whips up breakfast, ackee and saltfish, callaloo and peppers, and festival dumplings. "This is what makes Usain Bolt so fast," he says. We'll find that most Jamaican foods are credited with helping the Lightning's performance. Festival dumplings, however, are heavy and bready enough to make you drowsy within 9.58 seconds. To Ocho Rios Market. Here, as everywhere, people are gracious, charming, and kind. They're also obsessed, like our Casanova driver, with their sexual potency. Must be the weather. A chatty bloke called Adam, with a tattoo that declares Jesus is coming, shows us fruits like soursop, naseberry, and stinking toe. "Now that's a good front-end lifter," goes his sales pitch. People speak a gorgeous, rich Victorian English to us, and between themselves a rapid, rhythmic patois. Music throbs everywhere, and Delroy whisks us to our next stop, the village of Boscobel, accompanied by reggae rhythms on his car stereo. We pass scissored leaf banana trees and stately girls with tall hair and big skin teeth smiles. Around here is the clifftop hideaway Goldeneye, where Ian Fleming wrote all of his James Bond novels, and which Island Records founder Chris Blackwell turned into a luxury hotel villa estate. Above it, with a strong, soaring view of the surf and turquoise sea, is Firefly House, where Noel Coward lived and died, and where he once famously hosted the Queen Mother for lunch. The place is faded and fabulous. Down the overgrown, under-maintained road, we stop at a stall selling Dutch pots, Jamaica's ubiquitous cooking casserole, manned by a friendly toothless Rasta man with a flapping belt. He sends us along the tree-kinky road to Anato Bay for fish tea. Anato Bay was never a rich place. The Empire Windrush ship left from here in 1948 with its cargo of Jamaicans seeking a better life in the UK. Today, Nature Irie's Road Food Shack overlooks the quiet bay and has 4 huge Dutch pots boiling aromatically away on fires improvised inside old car wheels. "This is nature food," states Mr. Irie, dreads piled high inside his knitted tam. "Bloody delicious is what it is. Shiny fresh parrot and grunt fish boiled with pumpkin, carrot, turnip, and dasheen, plus escallion thyme and smashed-up Scotch bonnets."
In this assignment, you'll practice incorporating characters and dialogue into a travel story. Your goal is to create a vivid and engaging narrative that introduces readers to the local people and culture through an interesting interaction or conversation. To start, I'd like you to take a look at the story you wrote earlier on in the course, or feel free to start a new one or make one up if you'd prefer. Think about any interesting local people you met while you were in that place. Does anyone stand out that you'd like to include in your story? Perhaps it was a tour guide or a taxi driver, or someone you met on the bus or in a cafe. If not, you can create one using your imagination. Now think about them in detail and write some notes about them. What did they look like? Did they have any distinct traits or a unique voice? How did they dress? How did they speak? Consider their background, personality, and occupation. Now craft a dialogue between you and that person. Give your character a unique voice. Think about how their culture, environment, and experiences might influence the way they speak. Do they have an accent or dialect? The dialogue should also reveal something interesting about the destination and its people. This could include local customs, history, or even a personal story. Remember to include sensory detail where possible, to really bring the character to life. Balancing facts and storytelling is key to engaging travel writing. While facts provide the necessary accuracy and credibility, storytelling breathes life into your narrative, making it memorable and relatable. It's essential to weave factual information seamlessly into a compelling story that captures the essence of a place, its people, and culture. The best travel writing combines well-researched details with vivid, sensory-rich descriptions and personal anecdotes, allowing readers to gain both knowledge and an emotional connection to the destination. By striking this balance, you can create a piece that is both informative and captivating. Bear in mind that, if you do get your work published in a magazine or newspaper, there'll be a sub-editor and fact-checker who'll go through your piece before it goes to press. They will often contact you to verify some of your facts, if they can't do that themselves easily online or over the phone. So you have to be prepared to back up everything you say or claim in your piece. But even if you're not looking to get published or are writing for your own blog, you should always be as factually accurate as possible, while at the same time telling a really good story. It's a fine balance to strike, but that's all part of the job. In this piece by writer Rosie Blau for The Economist, she describes how millions of Chinese people are visiting the beach for the first time. She balances facts and storytelling about Chinese beach culture and what that might tell us about Chinese society. Let's read a short passage now, but I've included a link to her piece in the resources section so you can read the whole piece at your leisure. Mention of China's coast is more likely to conjure visions of warships in the South China Sea or Taiwan Strait than sandcastles. But the population's growing enthusiasm for being beside the seaside also points to the changing relationship between state and society in China over the past 70 years. Tiny pockets of the country's 18,000-kilometre shoreline were first domesticated some 150 years ago, mostly by foreign colonialists, just as European beaches were becoming destinations for pleasure, rather than simply medicinal sea bathing or taking the air. In the 1950s, Mao Zedong rejected traditional imperial retreats for a summer getaway with top communist officials at Beidai, near Beijing, once frequented by the British. It was from there that the Great Leap Forward was launched in 1958. Few Chinese had jobs as portable as party bosses, however. In the West, the dawn of mass travel saw holidaymakers jetting off to sunny shores at a time when most Chinese were tied to the land or factory. Leaving the city became a punishment for intellectuals in the 1960s, not a sightseeing experience. Even after restrictions on movement eased in the 1980s, urbanites typically used their one annual holiday to return home. Since then, domestic tourism has taken off, boosted by speedy transport links and rising disposable incomes. China's beach culture was turbocharged by the pandemic, when socializing outdoors became desirable and those accustomed to overseas travel were forced to pursue their foreign holiday practices at home. Even the party seemed to approve. When Born to Fly, China's answer to Top Gun, was released in April 2023, it portrayed the fighter pilot hero as a steely daredevil. The evidence: his love of surfing. In this assignment, I'd like you to consider the factual element of your article. You can write a new piece or work on one from the previous assignments, if you wish. Double-check your facts and make sure you've balanced them out with good storytelling. Too many facts, and your piece can sound dry and academic. Not enough, and it can sound too fluffy. When writing your piece, remember that the point is to educate, inspire, and entertain. So be descriptive and creative, but also be accurate and keep a record of where you got your information. Feel free to share your stories with me or with the group. So, where can you get published? Well, right now, the world really is your oyster when it comes to outlets for publication. Not only do you have traditional print magazines, newspapers, and books, you have thousands of websites, blogs, and even self-publishing platforms to consider. The beauty of an industry like this is that you can do as much or as little as you like. There's no need to quit the day job. You can write in your spare time, take trips during your weekends and holidays, or write about the place in which you live. That way, you keep your costs low and get to build your portfolio at the same time. Remember that each country has its own set of popular places to travel to. So what's obvious and familiar to you might not be obvious and familiar to someone else, and vice versa. Use this to your advantage. You'll probably be familiar with more mainstream travel publications, but also think about trade magazines aimed at people who work in a specific industry, such as the Architect's Journal or Accountancy Age or Fizzy Beverage Digest. You get the idea. Special interest magazines, such as Architect's Journal or Property Investor. In-flight magazines, non-travel magazines that have a dedicated travel section. Glossy magazines, though these are very hard to break into. Local, national, and international newspapers that have a travel section. The weekend travel supplements of newspapers, books and anthologies, blogs, websites, online versions of newspapers and magazines that have a dedicated online team that's different from the print team. Or start a blog of your own. The opportunities really are endless. I've included some websites here to check out for more inspiration. It's not essential to have your stories published, but if that's something you're interested in, this lesson will give a brief overview as to how to make that happen. Pitching is a tricky and delicate process. So much so, I've created a whole course on the topic here on Udemy. But, for the purposes of this course, let's look at how you can publish your stories as a beginner. First off, you always have the option of creating your own blog and publishing there. Blogging is a very rewarding and fun process, although definitely not as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of time, patience, and hard work. I personally have a WordPress blog, and that enables me to publish my travel stories as and when I want, without having to get the green light from an editor. Building your online presence and making the most of social media and personal branding to grow your audience is a great way to start out. However, if you do want to get published in magazines and newspapers, or even on other people's websites, you'll need to write a pitch or query letter. In this pitch, you'll want to briefly introduce yourself, then outline your story idea, being sure they've not already covered it. This means reading the publication thoroughly beforehand to get a feel for the sort of stories they run and where your particular piece might fit. Remember to cover the vital questions. Why you? Why now? Why them? Travel stories are written either in the first or third person. Hotel reviews, listicles, and many features are written in the third person. Travel narratives and other destination features and opinion pieces are written in the first person. Be sure to know which to pitch. You'll also want to personalize your pitch, so find the correct person to email and address them by name. Pitching takes a lot of time, and you won't always be successful, but it's a numbers game. The more you send, the more likely you are to get a yes. But if you're just starting out, don't be put off. Make use of this time to perfect your writing. It takes years to be a good writer, so practice as much as you can. Congratulations on completing the Travel Writing for Beginners course. You've taken the first steps toward an exciting and fulfilling journey as a travel writer. Now, it's time to put everything you've learned into practice. Write as much as you can, whether it's journaling your daily experiences, crafting full travel stories, or capturing the essence of a new destination. The more you write, the better you'll become. Travel as much as possible, even if it's just exploring your local area. Every place has a story waiting to be told. Use these experiences to build your portfolio, pitch ideas to editors, or start your own travel blog. The world is your oyster, and it's full of opportunities for those who are passionate and persistent. Keep exploring, keep writing, and don't be afraid to share your voice with the world. Happy travels, and please keep me posted on your success. Thanks for being part of my course. If you have any questions, just let me know. See you on the road.